You may have heard about him. You may have read about him. A few days ago, he has been trending on the social media platforms. Why? Because he decided to make an individual decision. A decision which did not go down well with some of his colleagues or former colleagues. It depends with the way you may like it. But he is here to explain the reason why he has decided to take such a decision. My name is Robert Tapumane. Thank you very much for subscribing and following Sly Media. Remember also, we are live streaming to several social media platforms. It is for your benefit. Just click that button, subscribe, like or follow, and you will never miss some of these programs. And to the business of the day, why did he decide to do that? Probably at the end of the day or at the end of the program, if he can do it, you can also do it. My brother.
Thank you, Mkwama Robert. How are you?
Ndinotenda nekuuya kwamaita kuno kustudio kuti tizonzwa kana titesa ma social media platforms vamwe vanenge vachikutuka, vamwe vachikusapota, vamwe vachiti zvakazodai. Just in brief, who is this person that I'm standing next to?
Okay, my name is Tatenda Moses Madondo. Those are my actual government names.
Yes.
And many people call me Comrade Zuji.
Comrade Zuji.
Especially from ZANU days and MDC days. I joined ZANU in 2014 up until my graduation in 2018. And at a certain point, I was...
You're from which college?
Midland State University. I was studying politics and public management. And also, I was the national spokesperson from 2017 to 2019. And within the opposition circles, I was also a bit active as a member. I joined the Movement for Democratic Change, then under the tutelage of the late former Prime Minister, Morgan Tsvangirai in 2007, up until very recently when it changed or it started splitting into several splinter groups.
So, during those days when you were, an active member of the MDC, are there things that you think you did better as a political party?
Yeah, you can feel there's a seismic shift from the days of Morgan Tsvangirai to current settings. With Morgan Tsvangirai, you could feel, you could understand the agenda. You could feel that this is a certain agenda, this is a certain objective, this is a goal. But now there's now a big shift from those days. Like for example, you would understand that every political party is not required, but just basic common sense. You need to have a formalized structure. You need to understand where you're coming from and where you're going. But now, politics is not the preserve of one man, especially if you want to build a movement. You don't build it through just surrounding yourselves with a few individuals and glorified bootlickers. You need to set your agenda. You need to set your narrative. And during the days when I was in MDC, yes, I was an activist within that movement. And yes, there are things we did to push a certain agenda. But things shifted, like what I explained to you. After, yes, there were fissures, there were fights, everything was there, as simple as it is a political party. But now, after the death of Morgan Tsvangirai, you could see now the party starting to shake. You've Douglas Monzoro on the side, you've Nelson Chamisa on the side, both claiming ownership of the party, but not understanding that if you provide yourself as an alternative, you should put people at the forefront, and also understand that democratic traits that you are preaching, you also need to practice it. Not just pick willy-nilly that you say you're a democratic alternative, when at the end of the day you prove to be far much worse than which you allege to be fighting against.
But one would want to know, obviously politics is about different ideas.
Yes.
If I, Robert, decide to form a political party and then said, we are not going to do it in the old school way, this is the new way to go. Is there anything wrong?
there is everything wrong when you just say there's a new school way of doing it and you don't provide the new school way. Yes, I've heard that no, we are now shifting from the old politics to the new politics. But now the whole agenda is lost between old to new. There's no tangible alternative that is being provided. Yeah, like what I previously said, that when the response to what is your plan is I have a plan, then it simply means you have no plan. It's all about understanding that politics is not just an emotion. Politics is a science. If you want to appeal to people, if you want to provide that you are an alternative, you have to do things the certain way. But if you don't do things that way, you end up losing your whole plot, losing the whole plot, and you end up being what you allege to be fighting against. Like I put it again, there's now a difference, especially if you look into how ZANU PF is now shaping its politics, its socio-economic plan. In 2020, His Excellency, I think, presented a five-point economic plan, the NDS one. It states what is needed to shift Zimbabwe from the crisis it is in towards an upper middle class economy, and also it acknowledges. There is also acknowledgement of past errors, past mistakes. No, that in the past this and this happened. But now, if you're always a perennial complainer, if you're always a perennial stimulator of negativity, there's no productivity that you will bring into this world. Because at the end of the day, we are all going to retire somehow, permanently. But then, a league as we always stand. I don't want people to look at the point and say that I know Zuj was a very good opposition activist, was a very good opposer. Sometimes there are issues that come to the forefront that need national healing, that require unity, togetherness. And how do you achieve that? You cannot achieve that by just sitting on some idea, on some fashioned ideas that was started in 1999, but that was destroyed in 2018. Okay,
so you talked about telling people that you have a plan and then you don't walk.
You walk your talk,
yeah. Then let's go back to the NDS one that you have just mentioned.
Yes.
Are you saying from the day it was launched and up to now, you can feel the change and say, His Excellency and his plan, NDS one, I have seen, besides acknowledgement, besides having a very romantic, NDS one, which attracts anyone, and if you read it, it's spot on. But is it what it says? Is the gospel in the NDS one being implemented? And are we saying we can sit down and say these are the results?
Yes, results are there if one is to bother even to acknowledge. Like in the NDS one, I'll give you an example. It talks about the road network. The president declared roads across Zimbabwe as a state of national disaster. And if you are to go throughout Zimbabwe, especially into the highways, you see that there's a significant change. I'm not saying that this is not, when you're dealing with, especially with improving a country, it's not a single battle. Yes, you may lose the battle here and there, but then the greater point is that the war is still going on. The war to improve the livelihoods of Zimbabweans, the war to end corruption, the war to signify all changes under the Second Republic, so that there is an element of productivity at the end. Because if you look at it, it was introduced in 2020, but it's talking about a vision that should at the end, by 2030, we are still a long way to go, and there are certain gains that are being made, and I'm not denying the fact that more can be done, and more is being done from what we are talking about.
So tell me, on the day you decided, said no, enough is enough in the opposition trenches, let me jump the ship and join the ruling party. What convinced you? I know you've touched one or two things here and there, but tell me on the day, like, let me church pastor stand up. I'm still waiting for you. 1, 2. Did this happen? And the politician was preaching about the good things, what the Second Republic has done. What convinced you? Said Nasika is and Chada Dakwendo. Postakazongona waku HICC.
As much as I am a political activist, I really don't believe that rallies they bring about anything significant. For me, the decision was a gradual decision.
Okay.
It came about in a matter of time. It took time for me to make that decision, and also it was a matter of certain issues that I've also highlighted that pushed me or gave me the will to join ZANU PF, and. People who knew and people who understood, knew and understood. Yes. It was a gradual decision based primarily on what I felt were certain failures that were not addressing to what they claimed to be addressing, and also a lack of a future vision that failed to give any definitive response and definitive answer to the questions of the day they are raising. Because if you raise a question, for example, if you're a teacher and you raise a question, you should have the answer to that question. Yes, a country is not governed or ruled through biblical scriptures and through social media. As much as social media is a very good mobilization tool, but when you want to give a proper alternative, or you say that this is the alternative, but at at a point where you don't present an alternative, then you tend to alienate yourself from people who might have probably at one point or at a time shared the vision that you share. And also the issue that, I was not forced to join ZANU PF, contrary to some weird beliefs being pushed around in some funny narratives. I made a decision on my own, and primarily for 3 reasons. These are personal, professional, and national reasons. Yes, as an individual, you should go through a personal development, you should go through professional development, and you should aid to national development. And aiding to national development can not only be done through just incessantly opposing since 2007 and not having seen the fruits of what you.
But is it maybe probably because of that opposition, it has forced those that are in power to act? If these people had not continuously opposed the debate that the guys who are in government doing, probably would be going backwards. Is the credit not given to the opposition?
In what sense now?
Because having a strong opposition makes the ruling party jump. Look, from 1999 when the opposition came in, a lot of things also changed. Because the ruling party had relaxed. So can we say, they say because of you guys, you have made the ruling party to jump?
Well, it's subjective, and also it can be very objective. Also, if you are to look at it in different ways. Yes. Opposition parties in every society, they act like pressure groups, which is okay for the ruling party, because that's how democracy acts. When someone is on the opposing side, they raise an issue, and then the ruling party acts. But now my point is, if you listen closely to what I said previously, that when you claim that there is a certain problem, and then you don't provide a visible and tangible alternative, then you're also that problem. You're actually worse than that problem. Or for example, if you say there's an economic crisis, don't just go around social media or any public forum just, tweeting or singing about figures so that you might appear as if you have any knowledge to what you're doing. Bring a proper policy alternative that you believe is correct. There's that element whereby people might mistake that, like what I was saying in the issue of raising the point that in ZANU PF they were made to jump because they had a strong opposition. Zimbabwe probably had a strong opposition back then, but right now it's more like a pressure group. It's more like we are seeing the revival of Tajamuga, but then with the Triple C banner.
But even if you are in opposition and you have a solution to the crisis, how then do you implement it when you are not in power? No, are you not selling your idea?
My point, like if you listen, my point is not about implementation at first. My point is about presenting that idea or that policy as what you provide as an alternative. Because if you don't believe in an alternative policy, why do you have shadow MPs and shadow councillors in your in every constituency that you have lost? It's because you understand the need that there should be some objective that you should be pointing towards. But then if it is not there, politics is not. I'm not saying that I'm the Ayatollah of politics, but from my understanding of politics, politics is not a secret service or a secret agent game where you just come around with, you say you've got something but it's hidden in the back and how you unleash it at the end through your victory speech. No, you need to show, you need to present it to people. Like what I said, I showed, giving you an example that President Mnangagwa presented a five-point economic plan, right? What's the economic plan that we are not seeing from the other side that are claiming that this is a failure when it's not yet been implemented into the fullest extent?
So I'm saying I've attended some of their launch of their economic blueprints. Are you saying those were shallow? There was nothing that you can say is a solution to the problems that are in the country?
Okay, look at the 2013 election manifesto, Alitika. You go from the 2013 election manifesto, you go to some even aborted attempts to even, like, for example, NERA. Yeah, I'll give you for example, NERA. NERA is like, it failed dismally. And now you have RIP, which is a reincarnation of NERA, but through a catchy phrase. But then there is nothing really substantive that you can point towards and say that this will bring this and this will bring A, B, C, and D. Because they're saying for someone to come and say that register, elect, and then protect the vote. It is good for citizens to register to vote. Actually, I would want every citizen in Zimbabwe to register to vote. It is good to elect a leader of their choice. But yes, these are not perfect ifs. I would encourage Zimbabweans to campaign and vote for President Emerson Mnangagwa. And then in terms of protecting the vote now, here's the irony. You have someone saying that we want you to protect the vote. But in 2018, when you called on your supporters to go into the streets and demonstrate after having lost an election, you came back a few days later to call those very same supporters stupid. So how do you invest confidence in the people? Okay,
but as a ZANU activist, why should the vote be protected? The people who voted that they want Robert is our presidential candidate. What's the reason of protecting that vote? The people have spoken. Let the person that has been elected.
That's why I'm trashing that notion narrative about reaping where you did not sow. That protecting the vote. There is no need to protect the vote when the people have spoken decisively, and these people will speak decisively come election. And I'm telling you, not that I'm a prophet or within the brackets of the Java and the Makandiwas, but 2023 is a foregone conclusion. Probably the opposition should focus on the narrative after 2030, because there is no proper opposition institution that you can point towards in Zimbabwe. Yes, it's good to have, for democracy's sake, it's good to have them in place. But then you cannot mobilize people through a rally.
Yeah, okay. But you know there are also false and true prophets, right?
Yes.
Okay, let's go to the issue of elections. Do you think the opposition has been losing elections, or the elections has been rigged? You were there.
Yes.
You are this other side. Let's have an honest opinion from your side. Do you think the opposition has lost elections because they've been rigged, or otherwise?
An opinion on my side is very simple. If you claim that you are rigged, be able to prove.
No, but you were there.
Yes, I was there. So you should understand also one thing, Omar Robert. At a certain point, I also believed in Father Christmas, Santa Claus and Tooth Fairies. And through growing up, I saw that they were just fantasies. Those are dreams. But if you claim that you are being rigged, you need to prove rigging. Right? We saw the last election. Yes, we were there in the streets jumping that we were rigged. And we were being told there were elections. But then comes the Concord issue. Where is the proper and substantive evidence here? Zero. There was nothing to prove that there is rigging. And there is nothing to prove that that the election is going to be rigged. Yes.
So now, what was the reaction from your comrades when you told them, or they've seen that, no, you've gone the other side?
Well, it was a divided reaction. Some felt betrayed. Some even went to the point of insulting, those petty issues. But then there were those who understood. Who understood that we are a nation beyond political lines. We are a nation that should be striving to act towards the collective, and there are those who gave me enough and full support. Yes, And to those who feel disappointed, I'm sorry to say this, but then you don't have to feel disappointed for someone. It is my personal choice, because I came to a point of realization that I cannot keep on being mobilized to get angry on behalf of someone. Yes. That is the whole issue. There are those who feel that probably because I spent a certain period of time within the opposition trenches, or because I spoke out against some issues, then I should not be going to the forefront and say that now I'm joining the very same people that I was speaking against at a certain point. But at the end of the day, it's all about understanding that we are all Zimbabweans. And through the clarion call made by the president to accommodate individuals like me who were previously in the opposition, I felt liberated to be able to fully express myself, my political consciousness, my civic self as an individual. That is the whole notion behind my movement.
Pane zvimwe zvanoti zvawemboopposa now that wauzanu ukazvifunga unoseka kuti but apa ndaipenga.
Yeah, a lot. A lot.
Imboti pa two.
Well,
but avaende kutaura but
within the student fraternity, we used to have a very funny statement that you know, ZANU or me, okay, for example, I won't say ZANU to bring out a lot of
issues.
I would just say probably I used to think that myself and ZANU PF are enemies beyond conciliation. But then it is through understanding and then through reality that I understand that I was just an enemy unto myself. And that is a funny notion that I used to think that we are enemies beyond conciliation, but now I'm speaking for ZANU PF and I'm campaigning for ZANU PF in the coming 2023 elections. So
assuming there's one viewer who is watching there and is in the opposite trenches, what are the processes when one wants to join ZANU PF? As in your case, did you go to HQ or to the district, or what level and knocked them there and said, no, comrades, I've come to join you? I think
we are all ZANU PF.
You're speaking on behalf of who now?
I'm speaking on behalf of everyone, and people don't want to speak on behalf of themselves. The issue about joining ZANU PF, it's joining a political party, you understand, just beyond, it goes beyond joining ZANU, but joining a political party is a self-made decision. You make it on yourself.
Okay.
Yes. The process is now of joining a political party may be administrative, but they may be administrative. But the idea behind joining, what made you join ZANU? What's making you change from point A to point B, or from point B going back to point A? What's making you change? Yes.
I heard you saying 2023 is a foregone conclusion. ZANU PF is already won. Where is that confidence coming from?
It's not confidence, you know. I think we should learn to give parameters between confidence and reality. It's not confidence; it's reality. Reality is subjected to what you see or what's on the ground, right? I think the Nigerian election is a very good lesson. I was reading the Daily Maverick, and you know, there's an article that was written by this journalist Fanny Cake. He said the reason that the APC won, he gave a number of reasons, but also through the maintenance of a well-coordinated and structured political party, which is something that the opposition has failed to do in Nigeria. And then, you know, it's like taking a failure and then implementing the failure in the same process that it failed. It can never happen. ZANU PF is reaching out, because if you look even the urban vote, it's encroaching within the urban vote. I think the last by-elections were testimony enough. Fair and fine, the CCC actually won retained some of the seats that they previously been recalled by Douglas Monzora. But if you look at the figures now, because politics is all about numbers, how many people are voting for you? You cannot say that you have won, for example, 45 seats, and then another party has won 21 seats. But if I look at the numbers, there will be a difference of maybe 400, 500 votes between the two of you. Okay. It means you might have certain influence within a certain selected areas. But collectively on the national outlook now, that's where your problem will come in. And that's why I say 2023 is a foregone conclusion. And it is actually too late to think of redefining the political agenda. Because one thing I can tell you, you might not be seeing it on TV or anything, but a lot of people are rejoining ZANU-PF. A lot of people are joining ZANU-PF.
I don't think ZANU-PF would keep quiet.
Yes.
Because that's one thing that they are good at.
No,
even if one person can join and they make noise, what about 1,000? Obviously, it will be all over the news.
But
they'll be knocking at our doors and say, "We have brought these people."
But
okay.
But the funny part, when I joined ZANU-PF, it was not ZANU-PF who made the noise. It was the other side that made the noise.
Suppose you're sending pictures on social media. Okay. But there's also this issue, free and fair elections. People need to vote in a free environment. But we have seen now that we are at the other side, where you guys, as ZANU-PF activists, you said this is a no-go area. But if people, I as Robert should be given a platform, to go and campaign. If people want my ideas, they should vote for me freely. If people want to attend my rally, they should do it free. But from your side, it is said that you have declared some of the areas no-go area, which I have also experienced as a journalist as well, that if you go to that area, you are in trouble. How can, as activists, change that? Say, no, let Linda Masara come and campaign in this area. Let Brian Mutegi come and campaign. Let Lavuma Dugu come and campaign. Freely, because as ZANU-PF, you have the roots in that. So why do you declare other areas no-go area? Well, unless it's new to you, that is a new member of
I don't think the issue of areas being declared no-go areas is, well, in every political order, in every entity, there are a few overzealous individuals that might pain. A few bad apples might spell the punch. But I think if you see someone saying that this is a no-go area, but is probably a mere Katkin member like me, and then now you hear the president and the vice president preaching about no violence, like previous Saturday during the 12th, the pre-Cape farm in Kwekwe, President Nangagwa simply stated or reiterated what the vice president Chwenga said a few weeks ago about maintaining peace and order during the campaigning, during elections. The issue of no-go areas, well, some people might have experienced that, but let us also understand that this is a political contestation, and these things might also happen in some cases that we are not even familiar with. Like if you come in certain urban areas, you hear the opposition saying this is a no-go area for what? For the ruling part. Okay.
As we go towards the end of the program, if I'm going to give you my phone and you call your former leader, Nelson Chamisa, what would you say to him? Because you did not have the chance to tell him. Now,
yeah. It's very simple. Chamisa is very passionate about Zimbabwe, and he has a role to play in the development of Zimbabwe, and is very welcome to join ZANU-PF and learn and understand how politics really functions and how governance really functions. Not those academic because you cannot try to want to govern a country through, yes, books can assist you, but then reality will tell you that you are not ready. Experience will tell you that you are not ready. He is very welcome to join ZANU-PF, and I believe you'll be welcomed with open arms, because like the president says, ZANU-PF
there you hate it. Nelson Chamisa, this is an invite for you to join ZANU-PF. I know you want to go and campaign, and what is the message that you can leave to someone who you may not meet face to face, but in Sly Media we go countrywide. You might be going to Wange, but for us, by that time we'll be in Blawa. What is the message that you want to use this platform to tell Zimbabweans about politics and the ruling party, your party now?
What I can simply tell Zimbabweans is very simple. The revolution that we had ended in 1980. The only revolution that we now need is continuing. Regime change is always distorts progress. What I can encourage Zimbabweans is to register to vote for ZANU-PF, and to vote for ZANU-PF in their numbers, and understand that the Second Republic is there to listen to their concerns. And I think our president is a listening president. Probably at a certain point I could never have imagined myself speaking in support of ZANU PF, but I'm a testimony that you can come with your ideas from wherever you're coming from, and they'll be heard, and they'll be given due consideration, since they actually make sense. Okay,
that's fine. And before we go, you know, you are known as Comrade Zuj. Just as a parting shot, where did this, because for us we thought it was the Zimbabwe Union of Journalists, because maybe you talked too much and people nicknamed you as a journalist, but as the umbrella board Zuj. Where did the Zuj nickname come from?
It came when I was still in grade 2, I think that was in 1998. And don't chief, I won't say where it came out.
There you heard it from my fellow brother here. He had been in the opposition for quite a long time. Then he said, enough is enough. It's time for me to join ZANU PF, the ruling party, under President Mnangagwa. The reasons he had said it. And he has also said 2023 is a foregone conclusion. The next winner is already known. I'm not going to repeat it because he had said it. For now, bye-bye.
With 2023 beckoning and the election frenzy in the country becoming more stronger each day, politicians are increasingly becoming visible, making more and more promises.
Primary education from grade 1 to grade 7 must be provided completely free.
Every village, in 3 years, there will be a ball in Orana Sola.
Patinongopinda tunhu chekutanga kukudzorerai pamakasiyiwa navamugabe. Toda kudzorera maticha kwavaiva kwokuti ticha aizikanwa semunhu aitenga zvikoti zveheadmaster nenyaya yokuti anga ane udzamu nepicnic.
But are these promises going to be fulfilled? The electorate is pondering on who to vote for in the council, parliamentary, and even presidential election. We bring you the candidate, where we interrogate their plans, their manifestos, their programs, to make sure that we give you information to make a choice on who to vote for. The candidate on Sly Media TV every Wednesday from 6 p.m.